everyone, it's me, Christy. Today I'm going to do a video that I've been getting some requests for, and it's about grad school, the process of applying, and what it's like to get in, and my experiences so far with it. So, this is mostly going to be for clinical psych programs because that's what I'm in. I'm in a PsyD program right now. So this can go for other PsyD clinical psych programs, or I guess even like PhD, I think is pretty much the same requirements and stuff like that. So again, this is what I did, how I got in, what worked for me. So what works for me is not going to work for everyone else, and it's not going to be the same thing for every program. So just throwing it out there, this is strictly for like the clinical psych route, people that are interested in stuff like that. So I'm going to be doing this in steps. Okay, so the first step is looking for schools. So when you're looking for schools, the first thing that I looked for was location. I wanted to stay close to home, somewhere that I could drive to and not have to take the train. That's what I did for undergrad, and I really didn't like it that much, and I don't want to do that for another 5 years because that's how long my program is. So I was looking for somewhere that was drivable, in a good area, wasn't too far. So that's what you're going to want to look for. If you're looking for somewhere far away, make sure you know that if the neighborhood's good, how much housing in the area is, if there's food places, because I know some schools can be in the middle of nowhere. So location's a really important thing when you're looking for a grad school. The other thing you want to look for clinical psych programs is to see if the program is accredited by the APA, because that's really important. If you go to a grad school that is not accredited by the APA, you can have a hard time getting a job after you graduate, because most places will look for that APA certification with your school. So thank God that mine is now. It didn't used to be, but recently, I think it was like last year or something, that it finally did get accredited, so that's really good. The other thing you want to look for is the statistics about schools. So you're going to want to look for the graduation rate, how many people go into the program who actually end up finishing. So, if like 100 people go in and only like 20 end up finishing, it's probably not something you want to do. That's just me. You're also going to want to look for the amount of students that get jobs after graduating. With my school, they had a lot of stats like that, and they even had stats of who got internships, which is like 100%, and they're all paid internships, which is really awesome. So, and sometimes they also tell you the percentage of male versus female. They tell you a lot of stuff. You just have to really look into it on the school's website. Another thing that you're gonna want to look for, of course, is the cost of school. Most PsyD programs, clinical psych programs, are around at least $100,000 total. It's probably, for some people it's going to be more, some people it's going to be less. It depends on your school, and depends on if you're living at home or if you're living on campus or in an apartment somewhere, whatever. It really depends, and some other schools will charge you way more than that. They can charge you twice as much, which is stupid, because like it's the same education. Maybe it's a little bit worse, honestly, because I know some of the schools around here that were in like downtown Chicago, in the Loop, fancy areas, they were like twice as much as my school, and my school has a way better rep than those do. So really glad that I'm saving money and also getting a better education. That's really good. Another thing you're going to want to look for is the requirements, because they're going to have the GPA, they're going to have the GRE scores you need, the amount of your personal statement, like the prompt for it, and the amount of letters of recommendation that you're going to have. So you're going to have to make sure that you have all of that, or else there's no point in applying. So you're going to really want to make sure that you have those good grades from undergrad. I think for my school, the minimum GPA for undergrad was like a 3.2 or something that they wanted for my grad school. They really want you to have, A's and B's. C's are kind of eh. So you're going to want to have those great grades from undergrad. So if you are in undergrad right now, keep those grades up, because that is exactly what grad schools look for. The GRE scores depend on the program. They depend on the school. Some schools don't even have a score requirement. It's just that you have to take it. That's how my school was. Because honestly, psych programs kind of know that standardized tests are complete crap, and they don't prove anything except how good of a test taker you are, really, because the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So if you have really good grades in undergrad, you're probably going to have really good grades in grad school. So those are just some things that you're going to want to keep in mind while you're looking for schools. Okay, so step 2 is get crap together. And what I mean by that is have everything that you're going to need for your application. So the first thing you're going to need is your transcripts from undergrad. So know where you can access those, whether you want to email them or send them in through the mail. Just make sure you have all that on time. So be aware of the application deadlines, because they can be kind of tricky depending on where you apply to. Have your personal statement ready. The prompt will be on your school's website. Some of them are pretty boring. The one for my school was pretty formal. It was just like, talk about the classes you took during undergrad, any experience you have with clinical psych, if you do have any, and what your strengths and weaknesses are. So it was pretty short, pretty boring, but whatever. A lot of times schools will also ask you to have your resume for when you apply. So you're going to want to have that. If you haven't made a resume before, there's tons of different templates online you can look up for how to outline it. And if you want to see what mine looks like, you can just ask me and I can show you mine. My mom really helps me a lot with my resume. And you're also going to need some letters of recommendation, usually like 2 or 3, again, depending on the school. Mine required at least 2. So letters of recommendation, you're probably best off having maybe a professor from your undergrad write you a letter, or somebody you've worked with, somebody that knows you on a professional basis. And the better that their degree is, the better it looks for you. For mine, I had a counselor at my work who I worked closely with write me a letter, and then I also had my regular family physician write one for me. He pretty much offered to, because he's on the board at my school, actually, which is pretty cool. So I've known him for like 10 years, probably more than that, but he wrote me a letter too, and that was all I had. They only required 2, so I just did that. And I'm gonna sneeze. Phew! Bless me. Okay. Anyway. Phew! Okay. Excuse me. Another thing that you may or may not need is GRE scores. So the GRE is a really stupid, boring, terrible standardized test. Some psych programs require them, some do not. If you can find one that doesn't require it, you should apply to that one first, because it's just easier. The GRE, for me, I think it was like $150 or something like that to take. And it's like 4 hours long. It's horrible. It's boring. They kind of treat you like a prisoner when you go in. Like, you can't have anything on you except a pencil. Not even your ID, not anything. Because they think you're going to cheat. I don't know how you can cheat on a standardized test, but okay. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't do shit for my GRE. I didn't study for it. I didn't do any of the practice tests. I had no idea what it was going to be like. All I knew it was going to be writing, math, and an English portion. So, I don't know. I didn't even know how they were going to score it. I didn't know what score was passing, what was failing. I looked it up after I just got it over with. And I actually did quite well. I passed everything somehow. I don't know. Yeah, just honestly, don't waste your money on all that practice classes and studying and stuff like that. You cannot study for a standardized test. And honestly, if you are going into clinical psych program, like I said earlier, they know that standardized tests are bullshit, and the best way to predict, future grades is past grades. So they're going to look at your transcript more than your GRE scores, to be honest with you. So, but you do have to get it done for a lot of places. Unfortunately, it's not that big of a deal. It's more of an inconvenience. So you're going to want to have those on hand too for your application. Okay, so assuming that you have your application in, everything's all good, and they want to talk to you, they will call you for an interview. So for an interview, what you're going to want to do is dress really nice. Business, casual, I guess. I dressed, you wouldn't even recognize me. It was kind of funny. I wore like a business suit with a skirt and like a blazer, and I hid my septum, all my tattoos. You couldn't see anything. I don't know why I did this. I'm wearing long sleeves, but anyway. Yeah, so I hid all of that, toned down the makeup, just threw my hair in like a slicked back ponytail, wear nice shoes, make sure everything is nice and ironed and clean, and you don't want, pet hairs on everything, which is hard for me because I have 5 cats, so I was like lint rolling like crazy. But yeah, so you're gonna want to dress really professional, look like a sexy lawyer, not too sexy, but you know what I mean. But yeah, like you work on Wall Street or something. That's what they like. Another thing is be honest with them. They're gonna ask you a lot of questions about any experience you've had, why you want to go into the program you're applying for. So be upfront, be honest with them, because they are going to ask you what your strengths and weaknesses are. So don't be afraid to tell them your weaknesses. Don't be scared to say, I need help with time management, or I need to work on not getting emotionally attached to my clients, stuff like that. Because that you're being honest. Nobody's perfect, and they know if you're lying. So if you say, "Oh, I don't have to work on anything," they're gonna be like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." Yeah, so they're gonna look for stuff like that, and they are gonna look for confidence. So speak clearly, make eye contact, sit up straight in your chair. Don't be like picking at your fingernails and stuff, which is really hard because I do that all the time. So I just kind of sat, hands in my lap, straight up, like, "Sup, let's do this." And make eye contact? Make eye contact. Don't be like your head down and, muttering to yourself. Just be you, There's nothing to be ashamed of. Obviously, you're smart and they're interested in you if you get called for an interview. So it can be kind of nerve-wracking, but again, something you gotta do. If you aren't really confident in yourself, just fake it. The interview's only gonna last like 15 minutes or so, something like that. That's how mine was. I know sometimes they do group interviews where it's like you and a few other people being interviewed at the same time. Mine was not like that. Everyone in my class had a group interview except me. It was weird. So I was just being asked questions by these 2 professors, and I don't know, whatever. And another thing I can suggest is ask questions. Tons of questions. Because if they ask you have any questions, and you're just like, "No, I don't know," it doesn't look good. Ask questions. Ask what the program is going to be like. Ask about internships, about campus, about availability of professors to talk to them after class. Any type of questions that you might have, don't be afraid to ask, because they're going to really like that you're, into it. You want to know more. You want to get going in this program and stuff like that. So that's what they're going to want. And usually on your interview, they'll take you on a tour of campus. So when I went, it was snowing and it was really cold, so make sure you bring a coat, dress appropriately for the weather. I suggest that you don't wear heels if you're a girl or guy, whatever. I did a lot of walking, so I was really glad that I did wear flats. especially because there was snow on the ground. So didn't want to fall and face plant or anything. You get lunch, so don't, make a slob out of yourself. Just be polite, courteous, but don't be fake because they'll be able to tell. So be you, be who you are. Let them see your personality, but also be professional when you're talking to people and answering questions and stuff. Okay, step 4 is acceptance. Yay! So you will get accepted somewhere. If it's not your first choice, it'll be, whoa, computer's sliding towards me. It'll be your second or third or fourth something. So don't give up. Just keep trying. Thankfully, I got accepted to the school I really wanted to go to. And it was my first pick, so thank God. So what you're going to want to do when you do get the phone call or the letter in the mail that says you're accepted, again, you're going to want to get crap together. It's kind of a hassle to get everything set to start school. There's just a lot of stuff that you have to do, a lot of paperwork. The one that sucks the most is the immunizations. I don't know about every school, but for mine, the entire campus is a graduate level, and it's all medical. The entire campus is medical. So we're all going to be working directly with patients, with clients and stuff, and with each other. So they really want you to have your immunizations done. You need to have a blood test to make sure that you're, immune to everything, basically. They also require you to have health insurance at my school. So if you do not, you can get it through the school. But I already have my own through my mom and my dad. So you have to submit a letter or a screenshot of your insurance page that verifies that you already have insurance. Another thing that's important, of course, the part everybody loves, is the financial aid and the loans. Oh, it's so great. So you're going to want to do your FAFSA. If you can do any scholarships, do it. For mine, they were already gone back in February, and I didn't even get accepted to school until March or April or something. It's always next year, but yeah. So because take whatever you can get. For loans, it really depends on what it is for the school, what you can get privately. Just do the cheapest option. For me, the cheapest option was to do it through Discover student loans. The interest rate was a lot lower than it was to do it through a Stafford loan or something. I don't understand all this, bank loan mumbo jumbo. So if you have somebody who does understand it, please contact them, because my mom and I really had no idea what we were doing. But we did see that the Discover loans, you were able to pay it back while you're in school, so it'll lower the interest rate. We did a fixed interest rate, which means that it's at 6% and it won't go up or down. With the, I don't know, it's a flexible interest rate or something. It can be as low as 2%, but it can go all the way up to 11. So that's a huge gamble. So I didn't want to do that. Just stuck with the fixed one. And I know for Discover, it's if you get above a 3.0 or something, you get 1% of your loan paid back to you. So you either get a check in the mail for 1% of whatever your loan is, or you can just have them put it towards paying off your loan, which is what I'm going to do because it makes a lot more sense. And yeah, and you have, a grace period before you have to accept the loan, before it's done, final. This is your loan, you're responsible for paying this back. You're probably going to need a co-signer, because I don't know anybody my age who has the credit to get $100,000 loan. Mine was not that high. Again, thank God. But a lot of people have $150,000 loans that they're taking out. Mine was only $25,000. I had some money from my grandma from her inheritance when she passed away, and that's all going towards school. It doesn't cover the whole thing, which is why I had the $25,000 loan. But for me, that's really not that bad. It's like a car payment for the most part. So fingers crossed, I'm going to be graduating school without any debt. So That's great. So you're going to want to take out the least amount of money that you will need. Don't take out more just in case. Don't take out more and be like, oh, well, if it's too much, then I'll go buy this or that. Don't do that, because that's just more crap that you're going to have to pay off later on in the future. It's more debt, and it's more interest that you're probably going to have to pay. So just don't do that. If you get extras like a refund check or something, use it to pay off your loans that you already have. Don't just spend it on crap. Because trust me, you don't want to have to be in so much debt when you graduate. And another thing after you get accepted is to work out a budget plan. Live cheap. I'm living at home, with my parents. It's not that big of a deal for me. I don't spend a lot of money on stuff now. Like, I don't buy things that are really unnecessary. You have to treat yourself once in a while. But I'm not spending money like I used to. I'm not gonna go out there and like live in an apartment or something when I could live at home, rent free, free food. My animals are here, my mom's here, I have my own room and everything, so it's fine. You don't have to stay at home all the time. If you feel better studying at school away from people, then you can. But for me, I feel better studying at home where I'm comfortable. So that's saving me tons and tons of money because I don't have to pay rent. I don't have to buy groceries and stuff because my mom does. I'll buy food at school, but to save money, I'll bring my own lunch. There's a bunch of things you can do to save money. And again, try and start paying off your loans while you're in school because it will minimize the interest rate. Because some people, if they don't pay anything while they're in school and they wait until you graduate, I think you have like 6 or 9 months, something like that, after you graduate, depending on your loan, to start paying. I mean, they end up paying twice what they took out because of interest. So the people that took out like $100,000 loans, after they graduate, they're going to owe $200,000 or more. Easy. So pay it off in school if you can. Work on it. Any little bit of extra money you have, put it towards your loan. Don't be stupid about it because it's a lot of money and a lot of debt, and you don't want to screw up your whole future like that. So very important stuff to know for once you get accepted and once you're trying to get everything together. Your school's website will have a list of all the stuff that you need, all the forms, documents, all the kind of crap that you need to send in and have done before you're allowed to start school. Okay, so my experience so far with grad school is it's a little overwhelming at first. I'm still getting used to everything because I've only been in classes for about 2 weeks now. Everything's still kind of settling in. I'm still kind of working out a routine. As far as the workload goes, it is a lot of work. It's a lot of papers. They're not due yet, and I don't really have the material and stuff to start doing them right now because we haven't gotten to it in class yet. But so for right now, it's mostly just a lot of reading, a lot of boring reading. Some of it's pretty interesting, which I love. Like, it doesn't even feel like I'm doing homework, but some of it is just so boring. It's so dull. It's like a total review of stuff I already learned in undergrad, and I know that it's important to read it and refresh your memory on everything, but some of it is just like, oh my god, I don't want to read any more of this. But after a while, you will kind of gauge what classes you really need to read for and which ones you can kind of just like skim the material or just read certain parts of it. So, I mean, it's up to you to use your own judgment. The days are very long. I'm in class for like 7 to 10 hours a day. Only for 3 days a week, though, which isn't that bad. By the end of class, like, my ass is dragging. I just want to go home and go to sleep. But I can't because I have to go to work afterwards. But, I make it work. Because after those 3 days, the rest of the days I can kind of take it easy, catch up on sleep, catch up on work, and things like that. The classes that I'm taking right now are the pretty much intro classes. So I have research methods and design, biological basis of behavior, interprofessional education. That class is so stupid. It has nothing to do with psychology. Professional issues and ethics, tests and measurements, professional development seminar, which is basically professionalism in psychology, and introduction to psychotherapy, which is probably my favorite class because it's the most interesting. Yeah, you have a lot of classes your first year, first quarter, really. My school does it in quarters, not semesters, which I'm still getting used to. So the first year is mostly classwork, things like that, and then next quarter I will start my clerkship, which basically, it's only like 4 hours a week, so it's pretty much just like another class, but outside of school where you're doing like a group or something. Then the second year is when we start our diagnostic practicum, as well as classes. So apparently second year is supposed to be the worst. Yay. Third year, we do therapy practicums, as well as like a couple classes. I don't think there's as many. And then fourth year is advanced practicum, where there's pretty much no classes. You're just doing your practicum. And fifth year is your internship, which I'm very excited for because it's paid, it's salary, and I'll actually be out there in the field doing what I want to do and making money for it. So that's going to be pretty awesome. It's like applying everything that I've learned. And then you graduate, yay. And then you have to do, this part varies by state, but in Illinois you have to do a year of postdoc work before you can take your licensure test. And then you have to pass that test to be officially licensed as a doctor of psychology. So, but whatever, I mean, that's not for 5 years, 6 years from now. So I'm not getting too worked up about that. I'm not freaking out about the dissertation now. That's for another 2 years. But yeah, so far, I mean, it's not that bad. It's just a lot of getting used to. It's kind of cool because my class only has 23 people in it. And it makes you feel pretty swag because I think they said 80-something people applied for the program and only 23 got in. And apparently PsyD programs are harder to get into than medical school, which is yay, I did something right. So I got in. It's pretty sweet. So yeah, you just have to learn how to make time for everything. You do a lot of self-care. They even teach you about self-care so you don't go completely crazy from just doing schoolwork all the time. And we just had our white coat ceremony, so you can see that in the thumbnail for this video. They pass out the white coat to all the students, and I don't know, it symbolizes professionalism and healthcare sciences and stuff like that. So you get to wear cool white coats sometimes, which is pretty sweet. So yeah, I know this video is kind of long. I hope it's not too boring. It's not really entertaining stuff, but it's important and it was requested, so hopefully I answered everybody's questions. If you have any more questions, just shoot me a comment, ask me on Instagram, whatever, and I will try to further explain it. So good luck applying places and getting in, and if you're already in school, keep it up, do a good job. I sound like such a mom right now, but for real, guys, school is super important, and if you want to get into a PsyD program or any clinical psych program, just bust your ass, do what you gotta do, and hopefully you'll get in. So, yay! Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye!